Hey everyone, welcome to another Weapons Wednesday. Today we're going to be discussing everyday carry, EDC pistols, and how to pick the right one for you, especially as a first-time gun owner. Before we get into that, I would like to say a special thank you to Rain City Tactical out of Kent, Washington. Thank you for all the support to this channel. If you guys are ever in the area of Kent, Washington, make sure you guys check out Rain City Tactical and the Rain City Shooting Center. They have a full guns shop, tactical store, and a firing range. They also offer some awesome classes. So yeah, make sure you guys check them out. You can also go to raincitytactical.com, and if you use code BFBN there, you'll get a discount. They also do custom holsters, Kydex holsters, so it doesn't matter what type of gun you have with whatever light or optic setup you have, they can build a custom holster to it. They do have some lead times right now as one of their people were injured, but yeah, like I said, a great company, great store, great shop, great range. Can't say enough about them. Let's dive into how to pick out an EDC pistol. So the first thing that you really have to consider about picking up the right EDC gun is, does it fit me, right? Does it fit my hands? Does it feel good in my hands? So for example, let's just talk about one of the most common and most popular EDC handguns, the P365. Now this is an SAS, so you'll notice there is no sights on the top. It is integrated into the rear sight. You'll see that green dot there. Yep. So really cool handgun. Now, why are we going to talk about hand size and why it's so important is because, for example, I'm about just over 5'9". I like to say 5'10", but my hand size, right? When you're measuring your hand size from the middle of my finger, top of my middle finger, to the base of my hand where it meets my wrist, is about 7.5 inches. The width of my palm, you measure from this point to this point, is about 3.5 inches, and then my span is just over 8 inches at 8 inches and an eighth, from here to the tip of my pinky finger. So why this is important is because a gun like this, while it's great for me, right, easily fits in my hand, I have no problems, I can get my whole hand around it, it fits well, this works for me. Now, someone like one of my buddies who's larger, for example, who's over 6 foot, has much wider wingspan for their hand, much larger hand, this gun might not work for you if you have a larger hand. Once your hand's wrapped around it, like maybe your hands are huge around it, and it's harder for you to get your finger inside of the trigger, inside the finger, inside the trigger guard. That's a huge portion of it. Right? Does it fit well in your hand? Now, another portion of it fitting well in your handing and being able to like operate it on that level. Also, reaching the actual controls, right? I want to be able to, without rolling the gun in my hand, reach all the controls easily. What I mean by rolling is, if the grip is too wide, right? Then what will happen is I'll have to roll the gun inward like this to reach the mechanisms, right? Reach the controls. So this gun, for example, obviously I can easily reach the magazine release, right? I personally don't own any guns that I can't reach the controls on. Another great example, the Glock, right? Great gun. Everyone loves Glocks. Great EDC. Very dependable. I can easily reach the slide release, easily reach the magazine release, right? Those are super important things to look for in a gun. And it doesn't matter if it's a 9mm handgun or a 45, right? You can find guns that, even with, because I have smaller hands, but even with this 45, I found a gun that I can easily reach the magazine release, the slide lock or slide release, and the safety that it has. So that is a huge portion of deciding which gun is right for you in EDC. Now, moving to the next kind of piece of it is, beyond the size and where the releases are, is what other things am I going to be putting on my gun? For example, you'll notice that this gun is slick. While it does have a mounting system, there are very few lights or anything that's going to fit on this gun. Now, go up just slightly to the macro, right? It comes with the full 1913 Picatinny rail, and you see an optic. Now, do you want to run a light or a laser or a light laser combo like this TLR8AG? And do you want to run optics? Some people don't like optics. I don't really know why, but there's some people that prefer not to run optics. So there are plenty of guns out there that don't even have a slide cut to mount an optic. And that's another thing to look at as well. Does the gun you're carrying have a slide? Did you purchase a gun with a slide that is cut for an optic? Those are huge portions of choosing the right gun for you. Now, I highly recommend that you find a gun that works for you, that fits well, that has a slide cut so that you can eventually get an optic. And I also highly recommend that you run a light laser combo. I think that in today's age, with the advances in technology, there's no reason to not run a light laser combo. If it's low light, obviously you're going to have the flashlight, a huge advantage. The laser is just going to help you get on target faster. So to me, I think that this is probably one of the best, personally, I think it's one of the best setups. And this is probably one of the better concealed carry handguns out there. The width on this, on the macros and the 365, and the macro for sure, is 1.1 inches. It's very slim, very concealable. You have a 17 round mag. And that kind of leads me into my next consideration, which is magazine count, right? The macro, or the 365, 12 plus 1, the macro, right, 17 plus 1. So find a gun that is going to offer you enough rounds to kind of sustain whatever engagement that you could run into. Now, there are plenty of people that love Kimbers and run 1911s that are single stacked 45s. I personally, again, this is all my own personal opinion, but I personally think that the more rounds that you can carry on you inside your gun that are capable of putting down a potential threat, the better. I don't, even my 45, I have one that is double stacked. I don't think that there's any real reason to run a single stacked gun anymore. Well, I think some of them are really cool and they're classic and they check all those like nostalgia boxes. I just think in today's age, especially for EDC, 7 rounds might not be enough. And yeah, you can carry another mag and now you're at 14, plus the one in your chamber. But is that comparable when, I can run 17 plus 1 and now I've got a whole nother 17 round mag? I don't think so. I don't think that it is. And so yeah, I segued a little bit, let's move on. So the next consideration is, now that you've selected a gun, right? Now that you found one that is going to allow you to add the functionality that you want, whether it be an optic, light laser combo, what have you. How do you plan on carrying this gun? It's another huge function. And I highly recommend that you try a few different ways before you just like heart set on one, because the style of your gun, what you have on it, can change a lot of how that feels in your EDC package, right? So if you're going to run appendix carry, which is at the front, right? Or if you're going to run at the small of back or on the side, it's all going to hugely play into how that gun feels being carried concealed, right? So when you're selecting a handgun, I've had a lot of people come to me and say, hey, what's the right gun for me? There is some preference in it, right? But the things that I've mentioned, I think, really go beyond preference. I think that they're like a staple of what you should look for. Again, counter-heuristic controls, making sure that I have a way to use the gun at night, whether it be night sights, light laser combo, having an optic that helps. But figuring out what gun feels right for you is not just. I have a lot of people that'll just go out there and they'll go on Gun Broker or they'll order a gun online, right? And they'll get it shipped in like, oh, this is my gun, and then they've got to figure out like, oh man, this gun really doesn't feel that great in my hands, or what have you. So make sure that when you're choosing an EDC gun, especially for you new gun owners, go to a gun range like Rain City Tactical in Kent, where they have the full range. You can rent range time. They've opened slots regularly for the public. They have a huge rental case that's extremely affordable to go in, purchase the ammo there, and then you have a whole, for I think $15 you can fire any handgun, and then I think for 20 or 25 you can fire any handgun or rifle that they have for your time that you have on the range. So that will allow you to go in, pick up a P365, see if this fits in your hand. Again, a great gun if it does fit in your hand. Pick up a Glock, pick up something larger scale, you know, and see how it feels, and go out there and actually shoot it, because that's one of the best ways you're going to figure out what works for you and what gun you like from an actual functionality standpoint, not just from how cool it looks, is getting out there and actually shooting it. Now, once you've selected the gun, once you've got the additions on it that you want or potentially don't want, get out there into the range, shoot it some, and then go through a course with that gun. I can't stress that enough. You can go to a range with your buddy's gun all day long, right? But when it comes to EDC, this is something that's on you. You're going to be dependent on you and you alone when that situation occurs, that you might need that tool. So go take, especially if you're new to handguns, and even if you're not new to handguns, maybe take an advanced class. Go take some courses that will help you develop those skills, and keep furthering your education inside of this, because it's only going to help you. It's only going to make you better at using this tool. So that's really all I got. I appreciate your guys' time. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you again to Rain City Tactical for all the support and the continued support and the future support. Again, I can't say enough. I will see you guys later. As always, stay loose, battle on, and if you have a bitch in your heart, it will show.